I just want to ask you the question, why is note-taking important for you, and also specifically digital note-taking? What difference does it make?
I don't know, it just feels nice at some point, when you have like a thought or a tip or something just online, you just write it down, you have it for yourself.
The thing I like best about Notion
hmm
is I could show it to non-note nerds
Yep,
and have them contribute to it without them getting frustrated or
exactly.
confused.
Exactly.
But it isn't a one-size-fits-all. I find there's some friction when I try to use it for personal use.
That's true. Exactly. Same thing for me as well. If I have another business idea, let's say start a Mexican restaurant in central London, right? Now, this is another idea
I
that
need to make a quick aside for you.
Yeah, yeah.
I've eaten Mexican food in central London,
Yeah.
and it's not very good. Yeah, the measure of a good note is whether or not it actually helped you do the real life thing.
Mhm.
I think we spend a lot of times polishing, but if it works and you got the milk and you filled
Exactly.
up the car, and then you remembered to work on the business idea and the right thoughts came to mind at the same time, then the rest of it is just details.
That's true. Absolutely true. I saw a video which was, I guess, was the very first promotion video they did, which was basically just showcasing what it does with this kind of like, there was a tone that I still remember till this very day. It was like ding 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 ding. It's still in my head.
Thank you for watching. I'm Aaron Lawson, and this is Knowledge Work Studio, where we help you stop digital overwhelm and take back control. In the first half of today's episode, we talk about the transition from traditional to digital note-taking tools. And then the second half, our guest Abraham Hernandez takes us on a deep dive using Tana, AI integration, and his pre-built templates featured on Canou.co. Don't forget to see the show notes for links to all the topics we discussed. I hope you enjoy.
Good morning. Welcome to Knowledge Work Studio. My guest today is a Tana Ambassador and creator of Canou, an online resource for note-taking and organizational systems. He's from Portsmouth, England. He holds a master's in digital marketing with an undergrad in entrepreneurship and business management. His Discord bio says that he's an introvert, a tech enthusiast, and a strong advocate of restoring faith in humanity. It's my privilege to introduce Abraham Hernandez.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Abraham, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. It's amazing.
Really glad we were able to set this up.
Yep, totally. Looking forward to the conversation.
Excellent. So what we're here to talk about today is a shared interest, and this is speaking likely to a shared community of note-taking and digital note-taking. So I just want to ask you the question. It's a question that I get faced when I face the other 95% of the people that are in my circles in life. From your perspective, why note-taking? Why is note-taking important for you, and also specifically digital note-taking? What difference does it make?
So thank you for the question. So basically, for me, since I was young, I was really interested in tech, and honestly, I was never a person who used, like, I'd say diaries and journals and stuff. I was kind of interested in it, but then obviously at school, growing up with the kids around, and from where I'm from, it was not really a normal thing for, a guy, especially having like a diary and writing down your day and stuff. So, some people thought it was a bit awkward, and, it's cool, and, people treat you differently when some very basic things happen, like you having your own personal diary. A lot of times it happened where mostly it was accustomed for, like, let's say, girls to have a diary, but then people didn't realize that it's a great thing, just journaling, noting down your stuff, and if you have a concept or anything. But then, so I wasn't really much into the traditional note-taking system, I'd say, anyways. So I was more into tech and everything, and obviously from the beginning of my, let's say, university degree, I started picking up on tools, and even before that, basically I started using Notion. And for me, I think note-taking is important because a lot of people, they would have let's say an idea or something they would want to get or something, but then people just pull up their phones, drop down a note or something, and then most of the times they would even forget about the note. They might write down something. Let's say they have a gift idea or something for their mom, let's say. They'll write that down, and then some point in the future, you totally even forgot that you had it written somewhere. For me personally, I am a type of person who's into this. Some people do not like note-taking completely. They can't function that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when did it make the jump for you that you were taking notes that weren't for some type of school or educational assignment?
I mean, I guess when I go into university, when I actually started, doing the assignments and stuff, I realized how, I don't know, it just feels nice at some point, when you have like a thought or a tip or something just online, you just write it down, you have it for yourself. And later on, it's just good having these kind of like information in your workspace, which you could basically go through. Sometimes you could discover a couple of things, especially for me, I do journal, I like journaling, and I try and do it every day, although obviously I do miss some days. I can't lie and say that I write down everything every single day, but it's quite nice because at some point when you look back at everything, like, you might even want to just search up when did I do something or when did this happen, and I'll just go back and just search up something, and then I'll just see when it actually happened, what I wrote about it, how I was feeling at that specific time and moment, So it is at that point when I was, doing all these kind of like dealing with a lot of information basically in university and stuff, it got to me that I just started automatically like trying to organize my stuff, my personal stuff, my university stuff, and at the same time all my other interests. For example, if I'm learning how to do, let's say, UI design, these kind of tips I gather from, I don't know, YouTube or it's TikTok or just basic blogs, I'll just bring them all together in one place. And it's just good having that all in one place because you don't now have to worry about, oh, where did I hear about this or where did I see this, or so, especially with digital note taking. So it gives you the power to not only basically have, let's say, a link or something, you could add more context to a link, or you could have more power, like, I don't know, highlighting, and there's more complex things you could do in a digital note-taking platform or system more than what you would do in a normal pen and paper, especially with databases and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Did you start with digital note-taking? When you started making journaling and things formal, did it start digital or did it start analog?
I
Paper,
did a bit of
paper journal, or I'm making the assumption that it went all digital. Was it a mix at the beginning? Is it a mix now, or what was that transition like? What was the first, and then what was the first note-taking actual platform that you let it live in?
I mean, for me, the first things I did was obviously when I was in high school, towards my end of high school, when because I like coming up with business ideas and all this kind of stuff. So I did use a journal. I just had like a normal like diary, not dated really. You had a slot you could write your date and stuff, but then I just really normally like to just write down some ideas, which I had with one good friend of mine. We always sat down because we had like some night study sessions at our school. So basically we sat down instead of studying, obviously. I mean, we would have been studying, but then we just like to talk about business and everything. So we were just coming up with ideas. What if this is, what if this was invented? So we normally would write that down, do calculations in there as well, and what are the things we could face? And then out of all this kind of information, we start making up we start visualizing the profits. So it was kind of like a weird thing. We start visualizing how much money this could be, So we start doing the calculations, so I started that way.
Well, that's some of the most fun math you can do. Just counting all those future dollars that are going to appear. You just keep adding zeros.
Yeah, just imagining the amount of money you can make with the idea, and then obviously later to realize maybe someone's already doing it, or it's impossible to get in because you need a lot of money. So basically, those were the first my personal use case. That was it. Like just these business ideas, and if I had something to add on, that was literally it. I wasn't doing like sort of journaling and stuff, so I started getting into journaling stuff seriously in digital platforms.
And it was collaborative. You're describing a collaborative.
Yeah. We had like
process where you're trying to capture from a collaborative. Brainstorming session with someone else too.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing it on his own notepad sometimes, or sometimes writing one. So we were doing it all together, just the two of us. So then after that, that's when I started university. That's when I started looking into like where can I have all this sort of information I'm getting from my lectures, my seminars. Where can I just have it? I didn't want to use Google Docs because I don't know, it was just stressing for me to have a bunch of Google Docs, and I could have literally one Google Doc that has like 3 sentences because that's all I wanted to write for that specific topic, But then that's just it. I have a whole
like
document.
A waste.
Yeah, a whole document for just 3 sentences. So to me, it was like, this is just too much. It's just everywhere. You have a bunch of these similar documents that literally have like 2 lines, 3 lines, or just 1 page, and that's it. So I started like looking for a solution, and that's when I knew of Notion, and that's when I got into Notion. So I started using Notion by then, which was you could collaborate with friends. I've had like presentation preparations in there as well, where we have like a page where we write down everything about presentation, what we want to talk about. We can add some images and all that kind of stuff. And it was around 3 of us, so I'm the 4th one as well. So it was basically 4 of us doing the presentations and stuff in groups. So that was the first digital platform that I used for most of my stuff. And after that, that's when I moved on to outliners. I started using Logseq. Now with Logseq, I used it for a bit, but then I discovered Obsidian, and I was quite excited about the fact that it was just local storage, everything. Although I don't really have a reason to hide anything, to be honest. Like, it's not like I have some very private corporate stuff and that I need to write in some place that's very private. No, but it was just intriguing. And the fact that, they had these customizations, these layouts you could build, a very beautiful like workspace of yours, the way you like it. And if you know maybe a bit of custom CSS and all that kind of stuff, which I didn't know, but then obviously on forums and stuff, someone just shares like, hey, you could do this and that, and you could take that and implement it. So you have a beautiful workspace. So for me, what brought me to Obsidian was the customization, basically, I'd say. The way you could really make your workspace yours. And I've used that for a long time as well, probably like a year, I'd say, do all these like uni stuff. But then I was missing the way Notion worked in Obsidian, because Obsidian is basically, it works in sort of like you have a page, and you can link pages together. But then I just like the structure of Notion, especially with databases, which obviously you could do in Obsidian, but then it has a bit of like a complex flow to it to actually achieve the databases and stuff. So I just returned to Notion, and that's where I sticked until I came to find Tana.
I found that Notion, which I still use,
I do too, as a matter of fact.
I found that the thing I like best about Notion is I could show it to non-note nerds.
Yep.
And have them contribute to it without them getting frustrated or confused.
Exactly. It's easy for a bunch of people because it's the same way other tools work. Like, I don't know, Google Docs, it's just pages, it's just a page, heading.
It just looks like a website.
Yeah, exactly. It's simple.
So their expectations are met with already understanding what they're looking at.
That's very true.
But it isn't a one-size-fits-all. It doesn't work for everything, for more complex and more nuanced types of note-taking and things that you want to retrieve in different ways. I find there's some friction when I try to use it for personal use.
That's true. Exactly. Same thing for me as well. Because if you want to really, let's say, add stuff, let's say if you have a database, you would have to navigate the database and actually add it there. It's so for me, that kind of process of having to open a page, then navigate and open a page. Obviously, I do know that you could basically search for a page. There's a search function, so you could obviously search for a page and go straight to it. That's a solution, but then it's just not the way I normally used to work. So I had to really just navigate, because for me, that's just how I wanted to do it. So just click on a page, then click on a page, because that's how I was already used to it, coming from, using, I don't know, like normal files, pages, Word document or Google Docs. So it didn't really feel quite right from a person to use. Although collaborative, it was pretty great. Like I'll be honest, it's great, because even the people who are not even heard of it, you could just literally add them to like a page, email, and that's it. And once they get in, you literally just let them know that, hey, you could just leave a comment by doing this. Just highlight that, you'll see something pop up saying comment, and you could just comment. So it was easy that way for a lot of people who aren't really like tech nerds, people who are really all about these note-taking systems and stuff. So that I'll give it to them. But then obviously from a personal use case, it lacked a bit, because I wanted something fast. I could just input something and,
no friction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So then when you went to Obsidian, that's a completely flipped over case where it has a lot of personal functionality, personal customization, but to an outsider, all of a sudden they think you're somebody from the Matrix coding. The surface of it looks very, very scary. How long did you spend in Obsidian, and where did that journey go?
I might say it's like a year on and off, because I literally even started paying for the sync, which I had on my phone as well, because I wanted to pull in all my notes from Obsidian, just see them on my phone on the Obsidian app. But then the issue for me was, at some point it felt like I needed to be like some like a person who's really into like researching and really need to work with a lot of information to really get the best out of Obsidian. You have to be someone, I don't know, who maybe writes blogs or really are deep into research that really requires you to write a lot of stuff. Like you have a page that has a lot of things and you have all these connections, and so when you even open the graph view, you have like all these insane connections because maybe you're into research. That's your field. That's what most of these tools were for, like knowledge work, like people who do the research and all this kind of stuff, teachers, lecturers. So it's good for them. It's way better for them, because even developers as well, because they can have this page and just write a bunch of stuff and just connect things. But for me, because I didn't really have that much like insane amount of information I could drop in there, I felt like I wasn't taking full advantage of it. And at the same time, I started really missing some other features that obviously didn't have, because obviously it's a local software, which means it can't really, it's working with Markdown as well. So just normal Markdown, just plain text and stuff, and hashtags for headings. So they can't really do like other insane things that other people are doing. So at some point I was like, do I want to really stick to this? And the whole hierarchical like organization that was happening in Obsidian, I was like, nah, you know what, I don't want to stick to this for long term. And so that's when I decided to just go back to Notion, basically, until obviously I came to find Tana.
All right, now that leads to kind of our central theme for what today's discussion is about. How did you run into Tana? And let's start digging into why Tana is different, or your impressions of it compared with where your evolution took you through your different portions of note taking.
Yeah. So for me, being completely honest, I always thought to myself, isn't there like a way I could write something? Because obviously I was familiar with Bear as well, which in Bear you can write a note and just tag it. Or even Obsidian, you can write a note, tag it, and then you'll have, you could just search the note by the tag, or you could just basically search for a tag and it'll bring all the notes. But then what it does, it brings you a whole page. So if you tag the page, let's say as health, for example, if you search for all pages with health, it will bring you a full page. Although sometimes I just want a particular thing in that page. I don't really want to see the whole page to go through it just because it's tagged health. I wanted to really be able to tag things by the bullet point, the minute details, if that makes sense. So Obsidian wasn't able to do that. I'm not sure if it does that now, but it doesn't. I'm pretty sure, and I bet it doesn't do it the way Tana does. Because it's a very different way of working. Because obviously, first of all, it's not an outlining note-taking system. So with outliners, it's able, because each bullet point it's an element of its own. So you could actually attach a tag or whatever. So I always thought to myself, like, isn't there something like this? And the crazy thing is, I started going back to Logseq, trying to see if they have evolved. I tried Remnote as well, but I didn't really use Remnote for a while, just for a bit. I saw how it works. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I liked some of the stuff they did, like when you post, let's say, a link, it brings up like the name of the actual website with like an icon of the website, that kind of stuff. So I'm really into these small details and stuff. So it was funny because I was just browsing on Twitter one day, when it was still called Twitter, and I
still call it Twitter.
I still call
it's
it Twitter as well. It is Twitter.
I'm not on for the whole X thing.
Yeah,
so
you even type Twitter. It actually comes with X, but you type in Twitter and you get X. So.
So you were on Twitter and you saw.
I saw a video. Which was, I guess, was the very first promotion video they did, which was basically just showcasing what it does with this kind of like, there was a tone that I still remember till this very day. It was like ding, 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 ding. It's still in my head, and I saw that, and it was like a up close shot of the way the video was created. Basically, someone typing something, then tagging it with meeting, and then these beautiful colors pop in, and then the meeting actually is tagged now. Just that node, it like gives like an animation that this is now a meeting, and then you go to like another place where you see all your meetings and you work within the day node. It was like, wow, this is insane. Like I was really mind blown when I saw that. I was like, this is crazy. I literally went up, signed up to the wait list, and after a period of time, joining the Slack and stuff, I got access, but then they asked me to basically react. First time using it, basically record myself, and then I could set it to them, obviously, for user experience and stuff. So I did that. That was my way to actually get access. So when I did that, the first time using it, I was pretty confused. I was like, okay, this is what this does. I'm not really sure this is, so I was a bit confused. But then I started picking up slowly because I started investing time. I really wanted to really make sure I know how they got it to work, like the way the video was, because that was crazy. That was really good. So I started investing my time into it. I started learning, and literally within, I'd say, maybe max a week, because I'm really into tech, so these kind of things, I'm really quick to pick up these kind of systems and stuff. So within like a week, and I remember also watching Cortex Futura's videos. It was one of those early videos. So normally with me, I don't really go for like a whole video. Sometimes I would normally, let's say if I have an idea, maybe I want to be able to do this, and it's maybe related to Supertag, so I'll go into the video and I'll start going through it quickly just to see where he talks about it, and I was like, okay, this is how it's done and stuff. So I won't lie, he was a bit of the initial part where I actually learned some of these things that I couldn't quite grasp at the beginning. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. This is how it's actually done, because maybe I was doing it the wrong way. But then when I got to realize, I was like, oh, that makes sense. It's quite easy to work with. So when I started actually building my own stuff in there, that was when I started posting on Twitter as well, because I was just mind blown. The way you could just quickly write down things on your today page, because that's a very good thing as well, having a today page, a today node, where you write everything that's happening today, and you just tag it, and it goes the way it's supposed to go. You don't have to deal with, it's just magical. That's all I can say. It's really great.
That was my same phrase, is that I discovered technological magic all of a sudden. Maybe what we should do now is bring up a blank page of Tana.
Yeah.
If you have one ready that's just a daily page, so that we can review that.
Totally.
That there are some people who may not be familiar with the daily page concept.
Yep.
It was a major shift for me that I had to spend about 90 days getting over the hump in my mind of folders versus daily page. And when I spoke to some of the founders, I said to them, I wish I had known this part sooner. I wish I'd understood what you meant super tags to do.
Yep.
And that because of that, I no longer needed folders.
Yeah.
Or I no longer needed substructures and headers and bullets. Once I made that shift in my head, everything took off.
Yeah, I'll share that in a sec. But yeah, as you say, like the thing is, Tana works the way your brain works, because in normal sense, in realistic sense, if you think of anything in your head, your brain already has like a sort of like way where it's already assigning sort of an identification value to it. So for example, if I think of like an idea, it is an idea. If I think of let's say I have a certain emotion, it is an emotion. If you think of a business idea, it's a business idea. So there's already a whole system of like tagging, because when you think of something, your brain already realizes what this is. It's a thought, it's an emotion, it's a quote, it's a feeling, it's all these kind of things. It's a book. So Tana works the same way. And with the today page, you don't really have to worry about how you structure the information at the beginning and stuff. You literally just have to have your tag, write down whatever you want to write down, one node, tag it. That's it. You don't have to worry about the way that page looks like, because you won't really have to look at it again, because it's gone. It's just a day, and that day is gone, and all that information could be brought up some other time, So that's the best part about it. So let me just share my screen over here.
While you're pulling that up, one of the things that came to mind I was thinking about is the way I used to take notes and the way I used to organize them was always based on, I need to do something with this now. And if I'm not using it for something, then maybe it isn't worth all the trouble to take the note.
Yep.
But that changed with Tana, because I could save things because they were interesting to me, not because I had a plan for what to do with them at that moment. And what that meant is the total volume of ideas that I saved was much greater once I stopped worrying about exactly what to do with them while I was thinking about them.
Exactly.
Because if it was important, using the search nodes, the way we can go into later, the universe will bring the idea back to me at the right time
Yep.
if I include the right super tag
Yep,
or I
exactly.
include the right searches
Exactly.
to help me get back to there when I'm in that context.
And I think this is how
And that's the magic.
Yeah.
That's the magic.
And I think people should really embrace this, because a lot of people see this and they're like, oh, this bullet point system, I don't like it. I just would rather have a blank page and just write the normal way I'm used to. But they don't understand the power that that comes with. You know, like it's insane. Let me just share my screen here real quick.
Yeah.
As you can tell, there's not much going on here. But this is the place that you'll be literally writing down all your stuff.
And what you and I are looking at right now is the barrier. This is the barrier to entry for a new user.
Yep.
Because I see today's date. I see it got tagged with day,
Yep.
but I don't know why it's important to tag something with a day. It's obviously a date.
Yeah.
So now the question comes for a new user coming to Tana, what am I supposed to do with this?
So with this day page, you mean, right?
With this day page and with Tana,
Okay.
now what?
So
Now what am I supposed to do? All I see is a blank screen. What should I do?
So with Tana, everything is a node, and this is a concept that people will start understanding the more they get to use Tana. You know, so as you can see here, you could literally start writing whatever. So for example, if I was to come up with, let's say, a business idea, for example, right? So let's say start a coffee. Let's go for start a cafe in Portsmouth, England, where people can come, hang out with their friends, but also bring a dog with them, for example, right? Something very basic. So with this is a business idea, right? And the way you thought about it is the way you could literally just create a tag for it. So all you have to do is just add a hashtag, and as you can see, I have a bunch of them. These are mine that are already basically made. These are what I have in Tana. Normally when you put a hashtag, it will bring up like a list of all the super tags or the tags you have basically. So I would just type business idea. Oh, well, I don't have the business idea in this workspace, so that's a good thing. So I'll type in business idea and I'll just tag it. Now what you see here is that this node is now a business idea. You could click on it basically and type in more stuff, or the way outliners work is that you don't even have to zoom into it, basically click into it. You can literally, when you have your cursor over here, you can just come down here, and contrary to what pages, like how pages work, you can literally just hit tab, and as soon as you see this indent, it means whatever you write in here is basically going to be inside here. So if I write this is a node, now this node is basically like a page, because now if I close this, now if I open this is already like a page, because now you can basically write a bunch of stuff in here just by indenting, and you'll see that it will keep on populating within this node here. And that's one power, because this is a thing that you can work pretty quickly.
One of the things that's really important for new users to also understand is the way Tana uses the term super tag. When I first started, I think it was for the first month, I was trying to understand, well, I already knew what a tag was before I came here, but Tana has super tags also. So what am I supposed to use tags for, and what am I supposed to use super tags for?
Yeah, so basically...
And the misunderstanding I had is that every tag in Tana is referred to as a super tag. And it's because Tana tags can do something that's much more powerful than the standard world of hashtag.
Exactly.
So what is a super tag? What does that mean that's different?
So right now, obviously, when you just have this is a normal tag, right? It's a tag that you can have in other softwares as well. It's just a tag. It's just like an identity you attach to this node. But when they're called super tags, it's because they can come with extra power to it. You know, so this is just a business idea super tag. So as you can see, when I right click on this, I'll have the option to configure this tag. And when you do this, you will now have this part over here where you can really build out your tag. And obviously we could get into so much depth with this, but then basically all you have to understand is that whenever you write down a business idea, right? Maybe there's a couple of things you'd like to actually attach to that idea automatically. Like you need to have certain information, like let's say the cost of the business idea, or maybe my perception of the cost of the business idea, or maybe, I don't know, competitors that I want to look at. So you think of these things that you would want every time you use this super tag, you would want them to come with the tag so that you could fill in more information, if that makes sense.
These properties.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you
so
want
it's basically properties that come with the super tag. Yeah.
So a super tag can have additional properties added to it.
Correct. And that.
So what would be a property of a business idea? Oh, how much money we're going to make off of it. That was the example from the university.
Yeah.
So let's add that. What's our...
So Tana has basically evolved. Previously, you could use basically keyboard shortcuts. For example, the shift and basically, this always confused me, greater than, and you will have that there, which is basically a field. But now it's simple for anyone. You could hit, literally, you see this over here, it's a new field. And you have all these options, right? You have options. Let's say if you want to have a plain node, which is basically just, you just want to write stuff
plain
in there,
text.
Exactly, plain.
Yeah.
And if you want to have options that you can choose from, for example, right? Options from Supertag, and there's a lot really, and the more you dive into them, you will better understand them. So for example, let's just start, let's say, with a plain text, right?
I'm going to say from my own experience, starting with plain text, if you don't know, is always the best choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can always modify your properties later.
Yeah, you can always change them.
And there is no burden to know exactly where this is going or what type of information you need when you start.
Yep.
But what you start with is something that you want to assign to it, and you'll figure it out as you use it whether or not that's complex enough.
Yeah, that's true. Let's proceed. Let's say I want to use an option. Let's leave the plain. Let's go for something that might be a bit more interesting. So let's say options, right? Within options, I would like to say maybe my business idea, like what business, let's say, category is it, right? Let's say if it's a food type of category or something. So let's just go with something basic. So business category, right? Now you'll be thinking, okay, what is this? Like, how do I use this? So this here is basically, as when I open this, you'll see it right over here, business category, because now it's already updated. Now every time I'll use this super tag, I will have this kind of thing pop up. Now if I want to customize the options that I have, that I could actually select every time I actually write something down, tag with business idea, it will come up with some options that I can select within this property here, this field. So I can click into it, and you'll see now, don't let all these things, what you see here, basically like pressure you. Just go slowly, right? You could basically just read these over here, these basic headings, letting you know what this is, and you will see here that you have predetermined options. So options that you already set for yourself. So for example, let's say I have food, because maybe it's a business category. Let's say it deals with food, it deals with, let's say, health, it deals with fitness, for example, it deals with, I don't know, entertainment. Let's just stick with that for now. Now, when I close this, you'll notice, for example, if I have another business idea, let's say start a Mexican restaurant in central London, right? Now, this is another idea.
I need to make a quick aside for you.
Yeah.
I've eaten Mexican food in central London.
Yeah.
And it's not very good. I live in San Diego, home of the Baja Fish Taco. So I think that if you could bring Baja Fish Tacos to central London, you might succeed. But if you go with the standard fare that I've received while I've been visiting, it's not going to do well.
Yeah.
But please continue.
Okay. So when I actually use the business idea super tag now, because this is a business idea, as we talked about, because now you're just using these tags that you already created. Now, anytime you have another business idea, just pull up this hashtag and just write whatever super tag you want to use. So, for example, we go ahead with this. Now, what you'll notice is that when I expand this, I'll have this, and it's plain. And it comes plain every time so that you can use it. So, basically, it's like a template, right? And that's what it clearly states over here. It's basically you're building a template that you'll be able to reuse every time you use the super tag.
And now you have some predefined drop-down options.
Exactly. So all you have to do is space, and you'll have some options. And now you just select, let's say, select that there and say food. Obviously, it's a food type of business category. Now, the power of this is that when you have all these kind of customizations of your super tag, at some point in the future, when you want to start basically bringing this information back to you to actually start going through your information that you wrote at some point in your life, right? I'll just quickly go into this, because obviously Tana can get quite deep and we could keep on talking about it for hours. But then just quickly, briefly, let's say if there's at some point, right, you want to pull this kind of information back to you. And this is where the live searches come in, where let's say I will use my Canou workspace over here. Now, let's just ignore these views now. This is where you could really build like basically your dashboard, your home page. Now you can customize your dashboard. So for example, I want to have my business ideas that are related to, let's say, food right here on my dashboard. All you have to do is type in question mark and you can create a search node. Now the search node is basically you trying to find what you really wrote at some point in your life within your whole Tana workspace. Now logically,
you're describing the note taker's greatest fear, that they won't be able to find
exactly what
the
they did,
great idea that they took.
And one thing though, when you use Tana, just try and really, if you can, tag whatever you write. Now obviously it's understandable that not everything in the world will have to have a tag. It's not a must to do that in Tana. But then when you use the today node and you don't really assign a tag, at some point you might lose that information, because now you would have to sort of search for that information within your today nodes, or you might have to basically just do a quick search of that word or phrase. You'll still be able to get it, but then if you want to organize that information, it's really good if you can actually use super tags, or basically tags if you don't really have any other fields included in there. So let's say just bringing in the business idea. So what do you want to search for? For example, for me, I want to search all business ideas. So every single bullet point or node with the Supertag business idea. So what I do is I will create this by doing @. So @ is basically, if you have used other softwares, normally people would use these kind of things. If you've used Obsidian or if you've used Notion, they also do use @ if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they do use @. In here as well, it's the same thing. So you use @ to basically call in whatever you want. So now I'll type in business idea and you'll see here that it shows my super tag. So when you click this and when I run this, you'll see that it brings all my business ideas. And I could basically just type this, give it a name. Basically, these are all my business ideas. But what if I actually want to fetch a business idea that is related to food? Now, this is where this whole power comes in together, because now I could basically come over here, and I advise you to really get used to the keyboard shortcuts, because you can literally just hit Shift greater than, and you'll have a field there, which you can now call in whatever field you want. So for example, we do remember that within our business idea super tag, we had a field right here called business category. Now, when I come back here, as soon as I start typing business category, you'll see it just brings it right over here. Fields from elsewhere, and it says business category in Supertag, in the Supertag business idea. So when I do this and I specify that I want all my business ideas that are related to the business category food, when I click this over here, you'll see that that disappears, and now I'm left with only the business idea that's related to food. Now you could think of the insane possibilities you can do with this, because it's like a sandbox. You could really work with information the way you want to work with information. Pull them in whenever you want them. Tag them however you want. You could really build your own structure in Tana, and that's what I like about it. Just dumping everything.
Let's show changing the view of that pre-saved search as well.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say, for example, in here, there's a couple of views, right? If I wanted to see in a table view, you could do that as well, because it's right here. Just click that and you really go for whatever you want. If you have extra fields, you will have them over here. If you want to add something, maybe you could also add it over here. Let's say this is a field and it's going to be over here. You could basically use it as any other field, but this one is plain. You could always change it over here by right clicking on it. You have all these things that you could go through, but then you could also come over here. Let's say if you want to view them as cards, you can click card, and now this will be as a card. You can always expand it like that or still dive into it. Then there is the calendar view. So for example, let's say if I had, let me just do this super quick over here. You can have default system fields in Tana, which are the fields that are automatically basically running in the background, sort of like, if that makes sense. So for example, if I write created time, you'll see it's a system field. It's always there whenever you create a node. Now this is the good thing about it. You might not see it, but then it's always there. So whenever you create a node, this will be applied. So you'll see that there. And you can see right now, I don't know if you'll see this part of my screen, but then basically it's 3:09, and we literally created this at 2:55. And you can see it says the exact time it was created. Now, when I come over here let's say I want to view that in the calendar here. And then we could head over to tabs. So now you can have this as tabs. If you have, you could organize this in whatever way you want. Obviously, I wouldn't advise you to use tabs for a bunch of other nodes you would have within here, but this is good for organization purposes in other cases. So for example, if now I create something, let's say I create a node called business ideas where I really want to put all my business ideas, right? I'll have it like that. But then when I indent anything within here, let's say food ideas, right? And let's go for health ideas. When I want to change the view of this, make it a bit more pleasing to look, I'll just go over there and hit Command K, which is basically how you would work in Tana. It's like a universal way to, control things, I'd say. So for example, you just go Command K and you'll have this over here, just pop up, and you could go whatever you want. So I'll select, just basically type in view as, and you'll see, let's say, view as tabs, which is literally what we have here. And now you'll see you have this beautiful view over here. So food ideas, health ideas, and you can then add a live search to it. Because remember, you could do this anywhere with Command K, or you could do it with a question mark, but obviously because I already have the name to the node, I could basically just go ahead, Command K, and you could basically just type find nodes. Now you're literally just finding nodes with tag business idea as list. And you'll see
this is my favorite way to create searches.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's also what I do, unless like I really just want to see something quick. That's when I'll use the question mark. But then it's always good for you to structure your dashboard the way you want it to look like and everything, and then start pulling in things, because that will allow you to then work the way Tana was intended to be. Write down something in the today node, forget about it, because it will come here anyways. Because for example, within here, you'll see that it already pulls in all business ideas, but then I want to specify that I want business category with food. So now, whenever I write anything, let me just pull this up on the side over here. Whenever I write anything, start a Greek cuisine or as Greek restaurant in Soho. And then when I specify that this is a food business idea, food category, you'll see it literally appears right over here. And obviously when I change that to health, it will vanish from there. So it's literally getting in whatever you already specified it to bring in. So now this is how Tana is intended to be used. You write something, forget about it, because you have already set up your beautiful dashboard. Even if you haven't, you can always basically create the live search on the go, and you'll be able to pull in these kind of things. So that's just the power of it. And then lastly, another view here is the side menu, which is also super beautiful. This is one of my favorite ones, especially when I have like short node titles, basically like these ones. So you will have this beautiful view here just showing you what you're actually on, and it's just nice. It looks like sort of like a mini application, because now with the complexity that you can add to your systems, you'll figure out like the more you use it, the more you can come up with great ideas. And this view right over here could be just amazing for that use case, because you will have a lot of things on the side there and you can just quickly navigate through them absolutely fast.
I think it's worth mentioning too that having a personalized dashboard is not only is it cool, it actually, I think it changes the way that you work.
Exactly.
Because one of the problems that happens throughout the course of a work day or a study day is that people don't take enough stock in the fact that thinking is a limited resource. And mental energy has a short supply that lasts through the course of a day. And you're going to use it on something. So if you use it on digging for things, you're not going to have that mental energy available for the actual thing that you wanted to think about.
That's very true.
So I thought it would be worth mentioning just for newer users who are watching, a lot of the things that Abraham just showed, you don't need to go this far with it if your content doesn't call for it. But when you find that you have enough content in that you're starting to feel the friction of digging through your content, or the friction of looking through your content, that's when you do the front end work that Abraham showed to build it into a dashboard where it won't require as much mental energy. That you can just start thinking about your business idea without having to stop and lose 15 or 20 or 30 seconds digging through for it.
Exactly. That's very true. One thing I would like to say as well is that I've seen a bunch of questions and stuff in the community, and people always say, do I always have to tag everything on my like workspace page or my home page? You don't have to. Like, you could literally treat this as just a page where you would write all these things. But my advice is, you see, this is already like sort of like a node with all this information within it, you know, and you could, and the good thing is that you could keep on diving, and that's what I like Outliner specifically, because now, for example, if I was to take this here and say this is an idea, right? And I'll go within there, I'll say this is also an idea within the first one, right? But then I can go even deeper, and this could go on and on. Now think about how you do this in pages. Just think about how complicated that would be, because now if I dive into this, if these things, like let's say this one relates to this one, and this one can relate to this one, and this one can relate so it's, you can go as deep as you want, right? And it makes it super quick, because that's how you like that, it works the way your brain functions. Because sometimes you want to write something, but then in normal pages you would have to figure out, okay, now I have to think of how I would want to structure this, you know, should I put a heading for this, or should I do a bullet point for this one, or is this like a, so this outlining system just gives you the power to just work the way you want to. So you don't really...
And you don't have to have a plan for your organizing when you start.
Exactly.
You just capture.
Yeah, just
First
capture.
you capture, then come back and then reorganize as it needs it.
Exactly. Just go with the flow, start slow, just use your super tags. You can start basically just using tags, you know, because at some point maybe you don't even know what kind of like things you want to be attached to the tag, basically the properties. You might not really know what fields you want for each tag. So you can just go basically slowly, just use your day node, dump in whatever information you want in there, use a tag if it necessitates a tag, because I do believe a lot of things like can have a tag assigned to them, because if it's a thought, if it's an idea, if it's a book you read, if it's a quote from a book, and this is how then later on you will discover that there's a couple of things you might need to add. For example, if it's a quote, right? If it's a quote and you tag it as a quote, you might want a field that really leads you or basically directs you to what book that quote is from. And this is how you'll start discovering the power of Tana slowly. And you could do that because now you can have a super tag for books, and then you can later on have a super tag for quotes. And then within your quote super tag, the properties that come with that quote, you can be able to reference to a huge database of books that you've already mentioned within your workspace. You could literally just have a field that pulls in other super tags. And I know it might sound crazy when we're talking about it, but then when you start using it, you'll just notice the power of all these fields and super tags. But yeah, basically addressing that is that you don't really have to have the super tags in here. You could go slowly with it, and you can just structure everything later. Pull in whatever you need whenever you need them, structure them however you need them. It's totally up to you. The system is amazing for that. It's very, very flexible. So just start slow and you will discover the power as you go.
Okay, so as you're working here, I also wanted to mention one other thing.
Yep.
I am your subconscious right now, and it just came into your mind that you need to gas up the car before the end of the day because you start work early tomorrow morning. You're in the middle of typing your business ideas, and that thought just came to mind. Please don't forget.
So this here, how I would do it, if I have a quick thought, and let's say I was working right here, right? There's a command.
And just hurry.
Yeah, there's a
it just came to mind.
There's a command E, just like that.
You have to capture it.
Command E, and you'll say, fill up the gas. And for me personally, in my workspace, I have something I call a pin. Although there's a pin side on the sidebar where you can actually just drag a node and pin it there, but I have a pin specifically. I assume in my head it's like I think of it as a pin board, things I need to remember, because whenever I open the pin nodes, I'll see all the things that I wanted to remember. So let's say, for example, fill up the gas, right? It's a pin. Let's say we just literally created a super tag on the go, fill up the gas pin. Or for your simplicity, you could say things to remember or thing to remember. Let's say, just simple as that. Fill up the gas is something you want to remember, so you just attach the tag thing to remember. For me, I'll do pin, but then could be easy for other people. And then you just do that there. It's done, and then Command E, and it's gone. It's added right over here. So for example, if I wasn't even having this open, I could do it whenever. Let's say if I'm in this over here, I'm right over here, and then there's an idea that just pops up quickly. Boom! You just do that like that. This is a new business idea, and then I'll just go ahead, use business idea, tag it, and then Command E to add it.
Also, we're out of milk.
Huh?
We're out of milk.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're out.
We're out of milk.
Of milk.
Don't forget.
we're out of milk.
But please finish the business idea too. This is what's happening in the brain all the time, right?
Exactly.
You're
Now you can
working
just
on
say,
one
oh,
thing.
okay, this year I want to do something. Maybe, oh yeah, this is a health one. Okay, cool, that's cool. Oh yeah, here maybe I want to write something about it. Oh, we need, I don't know, maybe we need to get the long life milk and maybe with less fat, right? That's all. That's all you're done there, and then boom, and it goes to your today, because that's how basically Tana works. And now if I open my today note, it's going to be right there. And then now, because you have these kind of things, this is when you could start, because now you start realizing that you need somewhere to actually have these things go to, right? A place where you can quickly
And
glance.
when you've been a folder person for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, this is when you start to stress out, because you start seeing a mixed list of items on
Exactly.
the side. Wait, those colors aren't all together, and now I have a mess. Now, when someone who hasn't spent time in Tana sees the list on the right, they see something in their mind that is not organized.
Yeah, but the thing is, it is actually organized. And this is something that you have to accept slowly, because the today node is just think of it like a scratch pad. We write everything there. Having this stack is already a super powerful organization thing that you've already done. Because now I could go over here, and as we said, let's say I want to have a place where I'll see all the things I need to remember. So obviously I could just type in things to remember. As simple as that. And now you'll realize, obviously, the more you use Tana and stuff, the more you use the today node, the more you add stuff, you realize you'll need to have a system at some point. And this is where you just go over there, Command K, find nodes with tag thing to remember. Thing to remember as list. Now you'll see this right here. You could basically add an icon if you like, for example. I don't know, maybe it's like a bulb or something. Add it over there. And the great thing is that you can also do the same thing with this here, the Supertag. And this just goes to show how really nice you can organize your system, basically your workspace, because now I can also click on this here, basically just left click, and then I could also maybe put a bulb on this, just a bulb. And now, and the good thing is that if you have AI integrated, OpenAI integrated with your Tana, which is also like another discussion, but it's also simple, super easy to do. It also suggests an emoji and applies it automatically based off the name of the super tag. So as you just saw, I didn't really even search for it or click it. I just write business idea and it popped up a bulb, but because it understands, it relates it to the emoji. And now every business idea has a bulb. So it's really good to quickly distinguish these things. And to finish off, things to remember, you want to have it somewhere where you could quickly access it, you can pin it over here. So this, you already just created over here. Don't worry, drag it over here. It will still remain in the dashboard, but it will also be here as a pin. In the pinned section where you can actually have things to remember, and you'll see them right over there. So as simple as that. And obviously you might be wondering, oh well, what if I finish working on this? Let's say if it's a fill up the gas, what if I filled up the gas and I want to delete it? Obviously you can always delete it, but there's also an easier way where you can mark it off. You'll be able to just mark it as you've completed it, and it will just disappear, and you'll still remain with the things that you haven't done. So yeah,
the measure of a good note or a good system in a note-taking software is whether or not it actually helped you do the real life thing. I think we spend a lot of times polishing because it's fun and it's we all want it to be clean.
True.
But if it works and you got the milk and you filled up the car, and then you remembered to work on the business idea and the right thoughts came to mind at the same time, then the rest of it is just details.
That's true. Absolutely true.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, so I think it's worth talking about now. This has been great introduction for people that are either new to Tana or just finding about for the first time.
Yep.
I also wanted to give some time in our talk to talk about what you've been working on.
Yep.
And you are a Tana Ambassador,
Yep.
which means that you've been assigned a role by the creative team at Tana to represent the platform, to offer training to people, and to help build this out.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about what templates are, and then you can go into telling us about Canou, your online platform.
So yes, as you say, I was really honored to be able to, like, I was appointed as an ambassador, and it was super cool because I genuinely really love this tool. I think it's the future of the way people should be working with computers and stuff. Like, it's insane. It's, as you saw, and there's way much more, which I'll basically just show you how I would use it in my day-to-day and how the power that it has. So basically, Canou, after being appointed as an ambassador, I thought to myself, how can I put this information out there, help people be better at Tana, or if they need guidance, or if they also need templates, because the template, you could literally build something in Tana and share it with someone else, and they'll be able to use the system you've built. So for example, if I build like a business idea companion where every time you use the Supertag that's included within that template that you just basically, let's say, got, let's say from Canou or from me, you'll be able to use whatever is already in there. And this includes some AI integrations that would, analyze your whole business idea for you. So it's basically just a way of sharing workflows between people. And that's what Canou has. So basically, Canou is a platform I created to help people get some resources, and obviously at the moment it's growing because Tana is also growing, and I'm trying to grow with it as well. So you'll get templates.
Let's pull it up if you don't mind.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
it's right over here. So basically, it's a platform that helps you master Tana with ease, as it is clearly stated. So you can have templates, or you could get services. For example, if you want to explore some templates here, you see there's a bunch of templates on here. There's like university templates for people in university. There's a media library if you want to track your media consumption, podcasts, whatever, a recipe, a recipe manager. So it's basically all these kind of workflows. As you can see, your task management, focus session, personal relationship manager, job application tracker. You can literally just get these and have them in your Tana. And this saves you time, but the best thing about it is that not only that it just saves you time, if you want to dive into it and actually learn how it was made, you could do so, because you could literally just dive into the live searches, understand how the template was made, and you could use that knowledge to actually basically apply it on some other, let's say, workflows or systems that you want to build. Because sometimes you might see something, or maybe you saw a promo of, let's say, Uniflow or somewhere on Twitter or whatever, and you're like, okay, that's really cool. How is this done? I like this system. Or maybe you're even brand new to Tana, so you can actually start with this and nail it down, like basically go through it and understand how it was built. And that's a good thing about it as well. So basically, Canou has this kind of thing. So it's templates. You can browse through templates. There's a couple blog posts as well. Right now there's a few of them, but then obviously I'll keep on adding a bit more information. But it's basically just showing you a couple of things, a couple of tips on how to use Tana, some cool things about Tana in general. You could also get some services. So for example, if you want to have individual coaching, you'll be able to get individual coaching where I sit with you and you could tell me what your problem is and what you'd like to work on. Let's say what is something that's blocking you at the moment when it comes to learning Tana, and we could discuss about that, just me and you, tailored to you. Or maybe if you want to have a workspace built, you maybe know how to use Tana, or maybe you don't, but you maybe, I don't know, you just basically want to have a custom workspace built for you because maybe you don't have the time to spend on building or maybe researching how to do it. If you're actually new, I could actually do that for you. We'll build a good custom workspace for you, send it over to you just the way templates are shared. So that's done, package it, send it over to you, and then you can break it down if you want to break it down, or if you already used the Tana but then you just don't have time to create your own custom workspace, do that for you, send it over to you, and then you can get over and start just using the system that was just shared, the custom workspace, and just get on to doing stuff instead of actually starting to do the building process. So that's basically what Canou is in a nutshell. It's basically providing you resources, some tips with blog posts. If you need some templates, free, and there's also premium templates as well. You've got services over here. Totally up to you, really, however you would want to go about it. You can also come over here. You want to search for something, it's pretty quick. You can search for whatever you want. Let's say you want a journaling template, it'll just pop up over here. You could go straight to it. You could get it over here. But let's say there's a template you want, maybe, or basically there's a template idea that you want to get, and maybe it's not over here. You could just suggest the template. Just click over here, and then you'll be able to suggest the template, and maybe in a couple of days or so you might see it live. But that's basically what Canou is. And the name actually came about because Tana is basically named after a river in Norway, and a normal canoe is basically a boat, right? So the name, I just basically changed the spelling of Canou to Canou with a OU, but that's basically the idea, basically guiding you through the river. Yeah.
And I wasn't aware that you took requests. So that's an important...
I do take requests in templates, and I believe there's even feedback as well. So you can request some templates over there, or you could also just leave general feedback. You could just click this over here, and obviously if you're on the website and you want to just talk to someone quickly, you can also do that right over here. Just click over that, and then you'll be able to chat with someone. I'll be able to respond to your messages and see how I can actually help you. So that is basically Canou in a nutshell, really.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, so let's look at some templates.
Yeah. Let's go into that. So let me go back to my Tana over here. Now I'll go into my example workspace over here. Let's put this aside. As you can see, I talked about the business idea companion. This is something that I use in my own personal workspace as well. That's why I even decided to share it out there, because it's something that I generally just like doing, coming up with business ideas and stuff. But then now, let's say we take a business idea that we had in our today page. For example, start a Mexican restaurant in London, right? Or let's say, let's do this one. Start a cafe in Portsmouth, England, where people can come hang out with their friends, but also bring a dog with them, right? So let's say I copy this. Now, the great thing about Tana as well, you can have multiple workspaces. As you can see, this is a Canou workspace, there's an example workspace, there's also another workspace called the Stack. Now, in your today node, you might be thinking, okay, I have different workspaces. What if some workspaces I need them to be I need a workspace to be completely separate from another workspace? This is why the today node here, you could really specify what today node you want to write on, for example, because at some point you might need these workspaces to be completely different. And this is when you click this here, you'll see that example workspace has a today node of its own, and when you go back here, you can shift back to Canou and you'll see everything. And this is good for just separating everything, as I said before. But then the great thing about it is that you could then, if you would like to allow certain things from one workspace to another, you could totally do that as well. I'll just basically come over here and you will allow content from example workspace. So whatever I do in example workspace, all the super tags I have in there, basically I could be able to use them when I'm working in my Canou workspace. So it's just something to remember. If you want to distinguish something, or maybe if you have a workspace that you'd like to pair with another workspace, you can basically allow the content from that workspace. As you can see now, nothing is allowed because I just want them to be separate. That's why the super tags that are in here, I cannot use them in this workspace, basically. So when I'm in this workspace, or when I'm in this today node, I can't use super tags from the workspace example workspace. So anyways.
So if you had a workspace that was for education or study, and you had a workspace that was for work, for your day job, and then you had one that was for personal notes, creativity, you could have tags that are either similar named or even maybe the same name that would not intermingle.
Exactly.
You can control if those tags show up in the other areas.
Exactly. You can literally have the same super tags, but then you can control the content. So if you want them to be absolutely separate, but then they might have similar namings, it's totally fine. As long as you're very sure that you're already accustomed to the way workspaces work and the way you can switch through them, because sometimes you might be in this workspace and start writing business idea and you have the same super tag in that workspace, so you just basically just switch workspace. Super easy, and you can just start writing in whatever workspace. Want to allow the content from another workspace, you could do so as well by just going to the workspace settings. So when we go basically into the templates, so I'm just going to show you one of these. I'm basically just going to show you the power of the systems in Tana, and we're going to do this by using this business idea companion. So this template,
let's do it.
This template is powered by AI, and you can integrate AI into Tana by having an open API key, which is a simple process to do. It's not really that complex. So think about it this way, right? Now, let's say I'm in my today node, specifically in example workspace, right? And let's take the idea one more time here. So start cafe in Portsmouth, England, where people can come hang out with friends, but also bring a dog with them. I'll copy this here, go to my workspace here, the example workspace. I'll paste this over here. But then now, when I use this business idea, you can see this one is different. Obviously, I just distinguished it with the BIC because that's how it comes up with the template, for obvious reasons, because it helps you just understand that this is business idea BIC, which means business idea companion. So you can understand more instead of mixing up some super tags and stuff. So let's say I apply the super tag right here. Right now, you could see this super tag is configured to have all these things in here. opportunities, threats, estimated budget of the idea, important things you need to know, feasibility rank. Now this one, it won't be applied automatically. This is for you personally. As you can see, it's explained that the more the gears, the complex the idea. So if I have many gears over here, you will have that over there showing that this is a very complex idea, or this is it's not really quite complex. Cost rank, you can also do this because obviously all these things are based on your personal preference. So if you have more money, you might basically assume that the idea is more affordable. If you don't have that much money, maybe the idea might be expensive. It's different for everyone, So
now, one question though, where do we put how much money we're going to make off of this? That's what we talked about. That's the fun part. Do I put that in the notes at the bottom?
Yeah, I mean, you could do that, or you could actually create a field that you want, that you might say, maybe it's a field like expected revenue, for example. Let's say expected yearly revenue. You could create a field for that, and then you could just have it there, and you could always reuse it. So now, as I said, all these fields you see with these kind of like a star here, a sparkle, are basically AI powered. Now that is a topic in of itself. It's quite in depth because there's a lot of customization you could do with Tana. Now, it's not something to be scared of when I say this. It's just that there's a lot of possibilities. You can really do what you want in this system, in this tool. And I'm going to show you right now.
We'll talk about the AI companions in one of our upcoming videos.
Yeah. Now I'm going to show you right now what this does. So you can also create these kind of buttons here. Now this button is just like a command to run other things in your workspace. But don't let it scare you. You'll get used to it when you start using Tana. So this command here, as you can see when I hover on it, it says analyze idea. Now remember, I just literally wrote this idea down, right? Just quickly wrote it down, added a business idea, and now I have all this power to just hit this button and have all this information filled in with the help of AI. I'll see all the opportunities. As you can see, high demand. Let me just expand on this here. You'll see that there's a high demand for dog-friendly establishments, post-mill, blah, blah, blah. All this information, some threats here, competition from other cafes and restaurants in the area, difficulty in finding a suitable location that allows dogs, potential for damage or mess caused by dogs. So it really understands your business idea, and it actually gives you all these details in the respective fields. It gives you an estimated budget.
So just to explain what just happened, your Tana Supertag had an AI command that you wrote.
Yep.
And Tana sends that out through the open API key and does a pull from ChatGPT, whichever version it's on, and then imports that directly right back into your notes.
And super fast, as you literally saw. I just literally clicked it, and boom, everything just starts filling in. That's how fast it is. And it's just super great because when you have, let's say, for example, in this context, the business idea, it's super cool to just see all these kind of things. Important things, let's say, you need to note. Get this all with the help of AI. It understands the context of your idea because it's already prompted that this is a business idea. I need you to do this and this and this. And it gives you that kind of information. As you can see here, it literally gives you the important things maybe you might not have thought about, like develop a menu that caters for both humans and dogs with options for both food and drinks. And it's just amazing. And you can also see here, down here, there's a persona, you see, for your business idea. Sarah, 28, marketing manager, Portsmouth, spending time with friends, trying foods and drinks, outdoor activities, and animals, especially dogs. And it gives your background, personality, their motivation, their goals, their shopping habits, their preferred social media. It's just mind-blowing that you could just literally, from one simple sentence that you just wrote over here and use a tag, and you could have all this information at your disposal. Literally. And you could just set the feasibility, the cost ranks, action status now if you want to, let's say, look into it, or if you have approved the idea and you want to start working on it. And this obviously at the end of the day is for filtering purposes, because at the end of the day, as you know, with live searches, you can now filter with the specific fields and what value. It gets insane, really.
Now,
go ahead.
One thing worth saying too is this is where some of the magic with Tana really starts to hit. Because what we're talking about now is personal note taking with AI assistance. Because somebody could say, well, I could do everything you just did in ChatGPT, and I could go out. There's plenty of platforms out here. But what's interesting about this is the lack of friction and the maintaining your attention in your workspace, in your dashboard inside Tana, that you didn't go out to a separate browser window for ChatGPT and then notice your email and then notice your to-do list, that you stayed here and Tana brought all of that information back to you while you're trying to work.
Yep. Absolutely locked in. You have all that kind of possibility, right? Like right here, you could literally build any concept you have, any idea you have, using the same type of way, like workflow, and you could have all these things without going anywhere. Does it for you right here.
You could, yeah, and the way that the notes can intermix, you could find something in here that was another business idea and inline tag it right here in this note as a business idea. And it will come up with its own listing somewhere else without having to be copy pasted to another place.
Let's actually do it. Let's actually do it to just showcase the power of this thing, because now I could just, you see this right here. I'm right here on this. It's just a random node that was just brought up with GPT and everything is right here. I could literally just go over here and say, hey, this is a business idea, for example. Now this is just an example, business idea. I'll do that, and I could literally analyze this as well. And it's a whole thing in itself. So
let's go into that one.
Yeah. Let's say, this I don't really know if it's going to be a business idea, but then let's just open it, and then we can run it again. It's totally up to you. You'll do that again. Boom, it just does it for you. It's insane. Done.
So now it just did another AI pull off of this separate idea to do the same analysis for the other idea.
Exactly. And you literally have it here. And when you create a live search pulling these things, it'll just bring even this one included as well, because now let's just go over here and you'll see.
And it's still organized, right? It's
right here. All your ideas, because I already created a live search. Now you'll literally be able to see all your ideas right here. Even this one that we literally tagged on the go. And even if I tag this one as well, I'll literally do the same and it's going to pop up over here. Now you don't really have to worry, because everything is just, as soon as you build a very simple system, everything goes where it's supposed to. You don't have to worry about anything. And this is just the amazing thing about Tana. And obviously you can analyze it again as well. Super simple. On and on and on, repeat, simple, without any distractions, right in your own personal workspace. It's just mind-blowing to me.
Now, what if you and I wanted to work together on this business idea?
So for example, right, let's pick this one, right? Now, let's say you're talking to someone about this idea and you're like, oh, let's just go for this one. And let's say, okay, now I want to share this with someone, right? Let's say I was talking about this idea with someone, right? And now I just want to share it to them, just show them, maybe the possibilities. Oh, by the way, we forgot about this part. It also creates like a very simple business plan. Executive summary, business description, market analysis, partnership strategy. It basically does this by itself with the power of AI right in your Tana. So let's say, for example, now I want to share this. I'll just click this over here and you can publish this. And when I click that over there, open publish preview, you'll see on the side here, it brings this preview of how it will look like when you share it to someone. Now, obviously, now you can change the font, let's say, and you could also interact with these kind of things over here. Let's say instead of seeing them exactly the way you have them in your Tana workspace, you could just go over here and do this instead. Have it as a heading instead of just like a field on the side there. You can have it like this with bullet points. You can have it as a quote, however you really want to do it. Let's say we go for the headings and list,
If you wanted to share this with a normal person, you would use Tana Publish.
Yep.
And instantly share the idea, and it'll show up like a website.
Yep, exactly.
And if you wanted to share it with a note nerd, then you would create a shared workspace.
Yep.
And then that other note nerd could then work with you directly, editing the notes and adding to it, adding additional super tags and collaborating on the internal content.
Exactly. Just same way you explained it. Now, obviously, you can open this now, and this is literally a link. You could literally just copy this link, and if I was to paste it, for example, if someone just sent it to me, and I just clicked it like that over there, and then I did that, this is literally what they'll see. It's just beautiful. Does the job, they can literally go through it. They don't even have to have a Tana account. So yeah, that's
it's fantastic.
That's about it. Sharing a node.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so this template is available on Canou.co.
Yep, it is, and I'm not really sure if it's free or not, but yeah, let me just search it up real quick. Business idea. Oh yeah, it's just $3 right there. If you want it,
Yeah.
Totally grab it.
Money
totally
well
fine.
spent.
Yeah, $3, and you can have
Yeah.
that system. Just pull it in your workspace and have it do all these kind of things ready to go. You don't have to worry about anything else. Yep.
And what you were saying also is not only do they get the template, but they could then modify it further themselves to make it fit their own use.
Yep. You could change the
and they could
Supertags.
they could even get into your AI prompt as well.
Yep.
They could modify that AI prompt if they want
Exactly.
slightly different information using what you already have there as a starting point.
Also, something we forgot to mention is that you can add your banners here, so you can upload them obviously from your system, or let's say if you want to get something, let's just go to Pexels, for example, right? Pexels, right? So you can just get some images here. Let's say I'll just do business, just type business, right? Boom. You'll have this here. Well, maybe I like these buildings. I could just do that, copy this image, right? Now I could go back to my Tana and Command K. Always remember that it's like a superpower in here. You just go in here and you can configure this node, specifically this node. When I say this node, I mean literally this node carries everything in here, but obviously for this node. So when I do that here, you'll see there is a banner image, and the image I copied, I could just go over there, paste it over there, and it will basically be the banner image. And it's as simple as that. And now you just have this beautiful looking thing over here. And now when I go back here, even when you hover on it, you'll see that it just looks nice. It looks nice. And it's the same thing for the rest as well. A media library here. I'm not really sure this has one, but yeah. So that's a bit of some extra goodies you can do in Tana.
I would say also, as an aside, it's worth spending the time to get images into your workspace, because for one thing, I think it activates a whole other side of your brain while you're working. And if it looks nice, and if it's fun to look at, if it's fun to use, you'll do more work in it, because it'll feel like home. You've got it set up in a way that just feels like your own personal space.
It's personally customized.
It almost feels like a room of your house, That's like I have my bedroom, my living room, and my Tana space. That's how everything's set up.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so...
Well, that's great. So I think we're getting close to time. And I did want to ask you one other question just about what else I'm springing this question on you, but what are you interested in right now? What are you curious about that you're keeping your eyes on with things that are going on either in the note-taking field or advances in AI and other things that are going on? What's got your curiosity right now?
I mean, at the moment, for me personally, I'm really invested in Tana at the moment, and just seeing the growth. The team listens. The team is there and they listen and give feedback and stuff. They listen. They take that into account. They build something with the community. It's just fun to see where it started, because I've been using it for a while now, and seeing the progress from where we started and where it is now is just insane. And it's just cool to see all this, and even knowing that this is literally just the beginning. There's more cool things that will come forward, and it's just amazing, to be honest. And let
me ask you this: what's changed for you in your own life or thought or anything? What's changed for you since you started using Tana?
I'm just more, I don't know, I could say I'm just more, it even motivates me to actually do more in terms of like add more information, write more. And I know I'm quite excited because I just love it, because the thing is, like, when you start getting to the flow of using Tana, it just becomes like, what next can I do to really like simplify my work, or maybe save more time, because now whenever you start, maybe there's something new you want to work on or something, you might think of, how can I do this in Tana? How can I actually make it simpler using Tana? It has made me more productive, that is for sure. And has made me even like write more, because I like to journal and stuff, and maybe if I have I don't know, I was watching a YouTube video, there's a tip I want to save and stuff, I just pop into Tana quickly, or even on my mobile phone, because they have the Tana Capture app. Now, when you do whatever in the app, and I could just quickly do it right now. Let's go here. Okay, Tana Capture. Let's open that up, and then now, I'm just gonna show this through camera over here. I don't know if you actually see that.
Yeah.
But basically, I could just go over there and just hit voice memo, right? And I could just start recording. As you see here, it's already recording, and I'm just going to record this, and I'm just going to talk into my phone. The voice memo comes in, transcribe it. You have all the transcription inside. You could do the same for notes if you want to just drop down notes, or if it's an image you want to capture quickly. You can do that with the Tana Capture mobile app. So it's just amazing, and that's where I'm at the moment. I just love the tool. And
That's great.
Yeah. I just want to see it grow.
That's
really.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely where things are heading, and I've definitely seen the changes for myself along the way, as well as in the number of connections I make between ideas, because they're always ever present. I can always get to my ideas, and I can link them to what's going on today. It doesn't matter if it was yesterday, if it doesn't matter if it was 6 months ago. I can get the idea, and I can tie it into what I'm doing now and try to make something new out of it. That's what's really exciting,
And
is how it changes how I think.
Yeah, totally. And I do think one thing we haven't really showed, if for anyone watching, let's say I'm going to write something and I'm going to reference it to fill up the gas. Just an example, right? Let's say I'm writing something, right? I'm just typing and maybe working on something, and then I just want to reference this to...
Call this a journal entry, perhaps.
Yeah, for example. And then you want to reference to something, and then you can just say, fill up the gas, boom, you have it right there, and you can keep on typing. And this here is a reference, and I could either open it. Obviously, if I open it here, you'll see the reference right here. You see mentioned in. It gives you all the details over there, basically the breadcrumb, and you will see the actual place it was mentioned right over there. But also a cool thing you can do is when you have mentioned something or reference to it, you could basically just shift click and it opens it up, and I could just write something in there, as simple as that, and I could close it. And now when I open it, whatever I wrote in there is in there, so it makes you work faster. Like, you don't have to open it and then start typing. Just shift click, add whatever you want to add in there. That's it, you're done. Close it up
and keep moving, keep thinking.
And just keep on. You just keep on. It's just amazing, really.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. I'm really looking forward to our next chance in our next video, when we can go in depth into the next piece, the next template, and the next experiment, and take this further. So in closing, just want to give you the mic for a second. Just tell people where they can find you, where they can contact you.
I mean, I'm available on Canou. Obviously, you can always talk to me there if you want to talk about Tana. But then also, I'm available on Twitter, X. It's Abraham, so it's AEBRAHMAM01. Or if you just go through the Tana page, basically on Twitter and stuff, you'll find me around there somewhere. Just lingering around there, you'll just get me there, and you can get the content over there as well. I do talk a lot about Tana as well on Twitter, but also on Canou. Yeah, that's me. That's
yeah. And they can find us both on the Tana Slack page. If anyone who's watching hasn't joined the Tana Slack page, please go ahead and join there. You'll see both of us in the channels. If you stop by, say hello. You can always find people
amazing
there
people
to help
amazing
you
people.
as you move along.
They're really helpful. They could really help you out and give you tips and show you around if you need help.
Great.
Yeah, amazing.
Yep. So we'll have the transcript included with the show notes. That'll have all the different ways to contact Abraham, links to Canou, and links to the Slack channel. So thanks again, Abraham. This has been great. I really, really enjoyed this time.
Thank you. Likewise.
And, we'll catch up with you next time.
Thank you.
Okay, Abraham, I think it went great, but I have a confession to make. I have no idea what we're supposed to do to end this thing. This is my first time making a YouTube video. You're a marketing expert. What are we supposed to do here at the end? Aren't I supposed to do like a like or subscribe or my friend's page or something?
Well, I guess it's the time where people, if they enjoy the content, I mean, this is the time where they normally maybe subscribe, and if they want to keep up with the content, upcoming releases and stuff, it's a great way to actually bring the audience together and have a nice community where, conversations could keep on going.
Okay, so I put up a like button here. I put up a subscribe. Honestly, I'm not sure if we're going to become the next Mr. Beast here. So I'm not sure I want everyone even to subscribe. I mean, this is actually kind of a privilege also. It's a select audience we're looking for.
Yeah.
Don't really want everyone to click the button down here right now. just the kind of people that are interested in talking about this more, maybe
Exactly.
get in touch with you, get in touch with me so we can actually work on Tana.
Exactly.
So,
Yep. People who would
Okay.
love to actually keep up with this information and the content, well, it's a great path to actually join. Just get together and we'll have a great time.
okay. All right. I'll give it a shot. Thanks.